The Filipino, the people is what stood out for me really. I sort of joked the other day that I come from London, where if you smile at a stranger, they think you're a complete weirdo. You smile at someone in the Philippines, and there's a huge smile back, and you start talking to them, and the hospitality has been remarkable really. There's nothing seems to be too much effort. It's been wonderful. We're very specific about who we work with. You know, I don't work with many brands around the world, so I'm very choosy about who I work with. We obviously, the Asian market now is expanding, and everyone wants to be a part of that, and we've been looking to expand my brand and modelling and fashion to Asia, and SM Men's Fashion. We're a number of companies that have sort of approached us over the last sort of year or so, and this one seemed to make sense. You're very, SM is a very powerful brand within the Philippines, and I think they're expanding even more now, and that's what I want to do. So I like to collaborate with a company more than just sort of going model, and then I leave the next day and that's it. So hopefully it's the start of a relationship and the start of a good collaboration over a good number of years, and it seemed to make sense. I think you can influence people with style. A man walks in a room in a beautiful suit. People take notice. They stand out straight away, and I've been very fortunate to work with some very powerful people, not just in fashion, in many areas. And they have a certain style. It doesn't have to be suits or anything, but if you look at the true men, who I call true men, the Steve McQueens and the Paul Newmans, who are my icons. Now they, they didn't go out to be stylish. They weren't styled like men are today. If you look at the David Beckhams and Jude Laws and lots of people, they are very much styled. And I've never had a stylist in my life, so I take the inspiration from those guys. But they knew how to dress. They knew what worked for them, and they knew the right time to dress up and dress down. And I think that's important. But a lot of men seem to, when they look at fashion, and I think they get the wrong idea of it. And I think they sort of see the fashion shows and they go, they can't relate to that. They don't want anything to do with that. But and people say to me, I have no interest in fashion whatsoever. And I say, well, why have you got that coat on there? So, oh, it's my favourite jacket. And I'm like, well, you have an interest in fashion. And, that's it. But there can be that element of men thinking it's a little bit sort of, it's not manly to be about fashion and everything else. But which I think is wrong. And I think that's slowly changing as well. Jeans in a t-shirt, trousers in a t-shirt, a good leather jacket, cardigan. That's my dressing down something. So. Yeah, absolutely. I think people are scared of individuality now. Britain was very much known for being individual with its fashion. Carnaby Street with Vivienne Westwood. With globalization, everything else now, we all have the same shops. We all have, we can buy off the internet. We can, you can order something in China, in America, it'd be in London the next day. We're all dressing the same. So I think individualism and individuality is very, very important. But you're right, people are scared to have an opinion now. Some people call me outspoken because I do write for the Telegraph and the Vogue, and I have an opinion, and sometimes I have to be reined in a little bit from having those opinions. But I think you have to have principles in life, and some people might not like them, and you make enemies along the way, and I don't have a problem with that. I have my opinions. They may be right, they may be wrong. Some people may agree with them, some people not. But that's part of life. You have to, and I think even when it comes to politicians now, Margaret Thatcher, for example, now you may not have liked her, you may have liked her, but she had her principles and she did what she thought was right and she carried those on. Politicians don't do that nowadays. They come up with a principle, no one likes it, so they get rid of it. Yeah. So there's people in charge of industries and governments for a reason, because they are in charge, because they should know better than a lot of other people. And yes, it's a strange world we're living, but that's social media, and that's, I think the trouble is now when you do make a comment, it's around the world before you know it. And even if you don't make a comment, then there's a false comment that you've made up by the press anyway. Yeah. So it's made it, I do understand why people don't say much. I don't particularly say much of my personal life. No one knows about that. I never ever talk about it. But when it comes to fashion, when it comes to cars, when it comes to something I know I have a knowledge on and I can have an opinion on, then I give it. But if someone asks me about surfing, about the history of it, I have no idea about it. I won't make a comment on it. I'll go, thank you very much, or you better speak to someone else about that. the public have now become the paparazzi in many, many ways, and I experienced that. You know, for example, I was in a meeting in a big store the other day, and one of my best friends called me and he said, "Oh, you're here, aren't you?" And I said, "How did you know that? You didn't even know I was in London." And he said, "Oh, someone Instagrammed you and said, there's David Gandy." And that's, yeah, that's a little bit of an invasion, and people don't realise that. That's the thing. We were very excited, and they'll take a picture and say that, but you know, if I did the same as that and sort of took a picture of them and said, well, there you are, and you soon realise you don't want your every whereabouts known. And that's why, I mean, I don't personally Twitter. We Facebook, and I put all my work on there, and everything goes out to my social networks. But I never, if you know, I never tweet or anything else like a lot of other celebrities do, and I don't really agree with that. Animal cruelty is around the world in every different country. Not with children in the Philippines here. This is in the UK. We have a problem with puppy farming. So the dogs or the bitches are pretty much caged like a hen, and mated, and then they're just literally pumping out puppies, and this is something we're trying to get rid of as well. So it's not just the Philippines. It's amazing that it still goes on in a modern world in some respects. But you know, this is why one of my charities is Battersea Dogs Home. That so when we do rescue these animals, and I hope we do, sort of, that they have a very special place and lots of funding for them to go.
Okay, that's it.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
So
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.